fact, you'll hear, as Mr. Chu already told you, that in Mr. Depp's 58 years, not a single woman has ever accused him of violence. And nobody in Hollywood or the world had any reason to believe he was an abuser, until Ms. Heard publicly accused him in 2016. You're also going to hear evidence about Ms. Heard. You're going to learn that she's a profoundly troubled person who manipulates the people around her, just like she manipulated Mr. Depp.
O julgamento entre Johnny Depp e Amber Heard continua no tribunal. Se eu não me engano, vai durar até o dia 27 desse mês e no momento eles estão no que chamam juridicamente de cross-examination, onde a defesa de Depp, conduzida pela advogada Camille Vasquez, faz perguntas diretamente para Amber. Nesse vídeo vou apresentar trechos desse acontecimento, então para fortalecer o canal se inscreva e deixe seu like, pois sempre estarei informando sobre o caso até o final. E após esse início fulminante, Camille Vasquez nunca mais passa fome, pois foi jantada atrás de jantada, expondo todas as contradições e mentiras de Amber Heard. Essa foi a abertura da advogada no cross-examination.
Over the course of this trial, you're going to have an opportunity to get to know Johnny Depp. Not the characters he's portrayed, but the man himself. You will hear from Mr. Depp directly, but you will also hear from his friends, his family, and employees. You will hear from people who have known him for decades. They have seen him at his best, and they have seen him at his worst. And they will tell you, each of them, that he is a kind soul who has never and would never raise a hand to a woman. You will hear that Mr. Depp learned at a very young age how to coexist with an abusive woman. You will learn from Mr. Depp's sister, Christy, and from Mr. Depp that their mother, Betty Sue, lived in a constant state of anger that would boil over daily in vicious words and violence directed at her husband and their children. And you will hear how Mr. Depp, who had the personality of his father, coped with that abuse in the same way his father did. He just took it. The evidence will show that Mr. Depp learned that the best way to deal with violence was to leave, to get away from it. Give her time to cool down. But he never turned his back on his mother. Mr. Depp loved his mother, and he cared for her until the day she died. You will hear how Mr. Depp came to Los Angeles as a teenager. He first planned to be a musician, then became an actor, and eventually, thanks to his talent, his dedication, and a lot of hard work, grew into one of the biggest movie stars in the world. He had relationships with major figures in Hollywood and elsewhere, like Winona Ryder, Kate Moss. And before he met Amber Heard, he was with the same woman, Vanessa Paradis, for 14 years. He had 2 children with her. And even though he was a megastar, they had a quiet, domestic life. In fact, you'll hear, as Mr. Chu already told you, that in Mr. Depp's 58 years, not a single woman has ever accused him of violence. And nobody in Hollywood or the world had any reason to believe he was an abuser, until Ms. Heard publicly accused him in 2016. You're also going to hear evidence about Ms. Heard. You're going to learn that she's a profoundly troubled person who manipulates the people around her, just like she manipulated Mr. Depp. Ms. Heard came to Los Angeles and sought a career in acting after Mr. Depp was well established as a movie star. Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard first met in 2009 on the set of the film The Rum Diaries. There was a significant age difference between them, and at first he avoided her advances, but she pursued him. She wooed him. The evidence will show that Miss Heard went to great lengths to win him over by playing the doting girlfriend. And it worked. He fell head over heels in love with her. Those who watched this relationship develop saw red flags all over the place. You will hear from them in this trial. And over time, the real Miss Heard began to emerge.
Enquanto um lado atrapalha a luta das mulheres, Vasquez fortalece todas elas com sua classe, profissionalismo e postura. O julgamento está tão desequilibrado que Amber anunciou que foi liberada do papel de Mera em Aquaman, sendo uma das primeiras grandes consequências à atriz após as acusações. Uma das grandes amostragens do julgamento foi Camille mostrando o momento em que Depp diz a Amber que ela nunca mais irá olhar em seus olhos, promessa que ele cumpre até hoje, enquanto ela implora por afeto depois de acusá-lo de violência doméstica. E se você perceber nos vídeos do julgamento, ele nunca olha para a ex-esposa.
You know exactly why Mr. Depp won't look back at you, don't you?
I do.
He promised you you would never see his eyes again. Isn't that true?
I don't recall if he said that.
One of the last times you ever saw Mr. Depp was when you met him in San Francisco in July of 2016, right?
That was the second to last time I saw him, yes.
And this was after you had publicly accused him of domestic violence.
I got my restraining order before that, yes. Mm-hmm.
And this is after you had obtained the domestic violence restraining order against him.
That's correct.
Let's please play Plaintiff's Exhibit 1229.
Oh no, a hug will save it all. All this, everything we just
I
been
just
through.
wanted to touch you.
Really? After all this shit you just said?
I just wanted to give
After
you
all
a
this
hug.
shit you fucking
yes,
accused me of, you
yes,
wanna
please,
touch me?
please stop me.
Fucking,
Please stop.
fucking nuts.
Please, I just wanted to hug you, to say bye. I didn't want to take
Yeah,
it back.
we did that last night. It's fine. That was
Please.
good enough.
No.
No, because I'm nothing to you, and I will always be nothing to you.
Calm.
What? You're not my shrink.
Your hands are hot. Please just calm.
No, you're in fucking heart. No, we'll never see each other again. You won't don't take my fucking glasses off. You don't like fucking looking at not my fucking eyes? You will not see my eyes again.
That's you and Mr. Depp in that recording.
That is.
And this is from when you and Mr. Depp met in San Francisco in July of 2016, right?
Yes, that's what it sounds like. That was in the hotel. We met once after that as well.
This is after you publicly accused him of domestic abuse.
Yes, and got my TRO.
A atriz Amber Heard aponta em uma de suas acusações que Johnny Depp a bateu várias vezes no rosto usando anéis. Essa é mais uma farsa desmascarada pela advogada de Depp.
Ms. Heard, you testified to an incident in March of 2013 where Mr. Depp hit you in the face multiple times. Do you recall that?
That's correct.
And you testified, quote, you don't know how many times he hit you in the face.
That's correct.
So Mr. Depp hit you in the face multiple times while he was wearing rings on this occasion, correct?
Which occasion in March are you referencing? You weren't
The
specific.
testimony that you gave on day 15 of this trial, March of 2013. You weren't specific as to the day.
There were several incidents.
The one where he hit you several times in the face.
Sorry, just so I understand better. There were several incidents in March. Which one are you asking me about?
The time that he hit you several times in the face wearing rings.
Well, he pretty
In
much
March of
always
2013.
right. What are you asking me? I'm sorry.
He was wearing rings on that occasion?
I pretty much always knew him to wear rings.
Okay, let's please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 170A, which is already in evidence, Your Honor. You testified that this is a picture you took after that incident, right, Ms. Heard?
Yes, that was one where he grabbed me.
And hit you in the face so many times that you don't remember. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And there's no injuries to your face in this picture, are there?
Not that this picture shows.
And there's no medical records reflecting that you sought treatment after this alleged incident either.
I did not seek medical treatment at this time.
So there's no medical records reflecting any injuries to your face after he hit you several times,
I did not need to go to the doctor at the time.
despite hitting you several times that you lost count with rings on his fingers.
That's correct. I did not seek medical attention.
Durante a sessão, ela ainda apresentou várias fotos que mostravam Amber sem nenhum ferimentos em eventos e entrevistas, em datas logo após os dias em que ela afirmou que Depp a agrediu. E para finalizar, a maior mentira sendo explanada mais uma vez, os 7 milhões de dólares que Amber recebeu e prometeu doar para a caridade, fazendo propaganda de sua ação por todos os cantos. A realidade, doou apenas uma parte do dinheiro e com a ajuda de Elon Musk.
2, I split it between the ACLU and the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, end quote. Right?
That's correct. I made that statement as soon as I got a divorce and we reached the settlement. That's when I pledged it, right then.
And you say this because you, quote, wanted nothing, end quote.
That is correct.
But you hadn't donated your entire $7 million settlement to charity at that point, had you?
That's incorrect.
Sitting here today, Ms. Heard, you still haven't donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity. Isn't that right?
Incorrect. I pledged the entirety of the
Ms.
settlement,
Heard,
$7
that's not
million
my
to
question.
charity, and I
Ms. Heard,
intend to
Ms.
fulfill
Heard,
those obligations.
Ms. Heard, that's not my question. Please,
What was
try
your
to answer
question?
my question. Sitting here today, you have not donated the $7 million, donated, not pledged, donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity.
I use pledge and donation synonymous with one another. They're
But I
the same
don't.
thing.
Ms. Heard, I don't use it synonymously.
That's how donations are paid.
Ms. Heard, respectfully, that's not my question. As of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the ACLU. Yes or no?
I have not yet.
And as of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, correct?
I have not yet. Johnny sued me.
So as of today, you have not donated, paid $7 million of your divorce settlement to charity, right?
I have not been able to fulfill those obligations yet.
And that's because you did want something, didn't you?
Então é isso, pessoal, em breve mais atualizações, por isso é importante se inscrever, deixar o like e um comentário para impulsionar a verdade. Obrigado por sua visualização e fui!